Looking back, my scalp was trying to tell me something for years, long before I ever knew what CCCA was. The pain after my relaxer, the burning in the sun, the way certain hairstyles started to feel unbearable when they never even used to. I thought those things were just normal, a part of having hair. I didn't know they were warning signs. My name is Joy, and this is my CCCA story. Today, I want to walk you through 7 signs I personally experienced that looking back, it was really my scalp trying to warn me. Long before I lost hair, long before I had a diagnosis. Now, I want to be very clear. I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. I'm also not a dermatologist. What I'm sharing today is my personal experience, and it's not meant to be medical advice in any way. If you have concerns about your scalp health, please talk to a board certified dermatologist. That's already one of the most important things I'm going to say in this entire video. But sometimes we just need somebody to say, hey, I had this too. Because I didn't have anybody to tell me that what I was feeling wasn't just in my head. So if you've been wondering whether what's happening in your scalp is something to pay attention to, I hope this video gives you the courage to make that appointment. Let's get into it. Sign number 1, deep scalp pain after a chemical service. Now, if you use relaxers or had any type of chemical treatment on your scalp, there's probably some level of tingling or discomfort that you just accepted as normal. Because I know I did. But what I started to experience was different. And it was this deep kind of pain, not surface discomfort. It went much further than that. After a service, it would linger, sometimes for days. I would have sores. Sometimes my hair would stick to my scalp as the sores healed. It was gross and it was embarrassing to talk about. Actually, I never even talked about it before I started talking about it in these videos. I just kept going because I thought that's what it means to have a relaxer. I didn't understand at the time that my scalp could have already been inflamed. And I didn't really understand at the time what type of damage I was doing to my scalp. That inflammation and chemical services, they're not a good combo. And scalp pain that persists after a chemical service, that's definitely something to pay attention to. Please bring that up with your dermatologist. Sign number 2, my scalp became very sensitive to touch. There came a point where just running my fingers over certain parts of my scalp or even just gently touching certain parts of my scalp, it was just uncomfortable and not painful in a sharp type of way, but just very tender. Kind of like you could sense that something was happening below the surface. I wrote it off. I thought I needed to moisturize more. I thought I needed sunscreen on my scalp. Maybe I was burning it. I thought maybe I had too much tension on my scalp. I really went through a process of elimination trying to figure it out. But then I figured out after a while, maybe it's just my scalp. Sensitivity to touch and unexplained tenderness, that's your scalp communicating with you. Mine was communicating with me. I just wasn't ready to listen yet. Sign number 3, burning when my scalp was exposed to heat and direct sunlight. This one took me the longest to connect. When I would be outside in a warm environment or in direct sun, and I live in the DFW area, it's a whole lot of sun all day, every day. And after a while, my scalp just started to burn. It literally felt like it was burning. It wasn't heat, it was a burning sensation. I remember thinking maybe I just put on a hat. And honestly, that wasn't wrong. I do wear hats whenever I go in the sun now, and I love me a good hat. But the reason I needed the hat wasn't just standard sun protection. My scalp was inflamed, and that heat, it just felt like it was all amplifying the inflammation. If your scalp is reacting to sun or heat in a way that feels like it's burning, that's definitely worth noting and bringing to your doctor. Sign number 4, I noticed redness, or maybe I should say my loctician noticed redness because I don't look at my scalp. I don't maintain my own locks. Since I have Sisterlocks, my loctician does that for me. And I was getting a service one day and she was like, "Your scalp is red." And looking back on it, I'm so glad she told me that, because if she wouldn't have told me, I wouldn't have known. But I just had all these signs and symptoms piling up. And the red scalp, that was just kind of like the final straw. There were just areas of my scalp that didn't look right. It was a redness and kind of a heat to it, too. Now, I didn't have the vocabulary yet. Why I had to have the type of alopecia with the longest acronym, I don't know. Because I still struggle to remember it sometimes. It's so freaking long. So I definitely didn't have the vocabulary. I didn't know what I was looking at. But looking back, that was definitely most likely a visual sign of the inflammation. So frustrating. But sign number 5. And before I say that one, I just want to say that if any of these signs are resonating with you, you're not alone. Definitely not alone here. And if you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe just so I can keep showing up for you while you're walking along in this journey, as I am too. Now, step number 5 is persistent itching. We've all had a dry scalp moment, occasional itching. That's not unusual, that's normal. But what I started experiencing was itching that it just wouldn't quit. It wouldn't calm down, it would go and come back, and it did not feel like regular dryness. And I especially experienced this last year when I had a flare up after I had COVID, which I talked about. My scalp was so itchy that I was scratching it and embarrassed because I couldn't stop scratching it. It almost felt like an obsession. And the more I scratched it, I would only get relief for maybe a few seconds. And then the deep itchiness, it would just come right back. It just about drove me nuts, honestly. Just feels like something underneath is unsettled. And I went through the motions. You're trying to switch shampoos, trying to figure out what might work. Is it something I'm putting on my hair? And products can be a factor. I'm not dismissing that. But the itching, it just kept coming back because the source was inflammation. Sign number 6, hairstyles I had worn for years, all of a sudden they're just not cutting it. They're becoming painful and uncomfortable. And that's a significant one for me because the shift was gradual. I didn't wake up one day and all of a sudden everything just hurt. It was a slow accumulation, and sometimes those things can be the hardest to catch. Styles and maintenance I managed for years became uncomfortable. Uncomfortable became painful. And you try to deal with it, you try to find workarounds. But again, after a while, you have to admit to yourself something is wrong. When styling your own hair has to feel like something you're bracing yourself for, that's not something to push through, that's something to investigate. And I just wish somebody had told me earlier, but I'm glad somebody told me. And sign number 7, this one is harder to kind of put your fingers on it, but I think it may be the most important one to honor. My scalp just didn't feel healthy. There can be an intuition that just lives within our bodies sometimes, kind of like a quiet knowing. And when I sit down and I'm honest with myself, I knew that something wasn't right. And I knew that this just wasn't anything normal. I didn't catch on as quickly as I wish I had, but I was blessed to still catch my CCCA in an early stage. I didn't have the language, but thankfully I did have a relationship with a dermatologist, so I was able to quickly get in and be assessed. And sometimes when you have pain for so long, it becomes normal and it's almost like background noise because you're so used to it. I think that was a factor for me too. But if you take away anything from this video, I hope that you will please not normalize your discomfort. Please, please. If your scalp doesn't feel right and you can't explain why, that's all you need to make an appointment. Again, you're not the medical professional. You don't have to have the words, but you know that something's not right. I shared these 7 signs not to frighten you, but because I wish someone had told me. And again, I'm grateful that the red scalp tip, my loctician did tell me, but if I had come across a video that had a list of all these in them, that would have helped me reach a diagnosis and a treatment path so much faster than what happened to me. So I want to pay it forward with this video, and I'm hoping I can help somebody else with this video. We got to remember that the decisions that impact our hair, they're just so much bigger than hair. CC is a scarring type of alopecia, which means that if that damage goes unchecked, you could lose hair permanently. And although mine was caught in an early stage, I do have some scarring. So I have already lost some hair permanently, unfortunately. That's why I talk about it, and that's why I keep showing up here. But I also want to say is there's so much hope and knowledge. The fact that you're watching this, you're asking questions, and paying attention to yourself, that matters a lot. Work with your professionals. Remember, I always say that I rely on my loctician, my dermatologist, because they keep me together. So let yours keep you together too. Whether you're in the beginning of your journey or somewhere in the middle, I hear you and I have been right where you are. I've been right there too. I'm still here, I'm still filming, and I'm still grateful. If what I shared today resonates with you in any way, please do subscribe. Please, please. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, please do share it with them. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself. Bye.